That's it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Holly. Thank you. All right. With that, I'm now going to ask Jerry Jacobs to head up here and give some remarks. And here he is. Come on up.
So this entire weekend, from last night, yesterday evening, starting at Mass, until now, the Holy Spirit has been talking to you. But the question is, will you listen? I've been married twice myself. I've been married twice. In my 20s and 30s, I was silly, stupid, and I wasn't too smart. And my first wife and I were having a lot of problems, and we were on the verge of divorce. And as things went along, we were married for like 16 years. And as things went along, when you're young, sometimes you don't see the tragedies coming, right? You just don't see it. So around 35, at the time we were having problems, she contracted leukemia. And 6 months she was gone. And so I wanted to give you men that this stuff is not a joke that we're talking about here. There's a certain amount of urgency that we all should be thinking about. You heard 3 great speakers today. So I want to give a quote. Husbands, love your wives, even as Christ loved the church and handed himself over to her, to sanctify her, cleansing her by the bath of water with the word, that he might present to himself the church in splendor, without spot or wrinkle or any such thing, that she might be holy and without blemish, end quote. Ephesians 5, verses 25 through 27. So what I want to do is give you 10 things to do when you get home that basically I'm just going to kind of put what we learned together in 10 steps to help you. And don't worry at the end, you don't have to write anything down, because the boys at the end are going to hand the things out to you. That's just how I do things, I'm sorry. So, number 1, tell your wife about the conference. When you go home, if you're single, tell your girlfriend. If you're married, if you don't have a girlfriend, then okay. But if you're married, tell your wife about the conference. You know, tell her what you experienced. Tell her how you felt. Engage her. And that leads to my next step, as in that category of become your wife's best friend. Father talked about it. You know, your best friend should be your wife. Get into her so she'll get into you. This builds closeness for your wife, which enhances intimacy. This is the best advice that anybody can give you about intimacy with your wife. As single, same thing. You want to marry your best friend. I tell my boys all the time, I know other men that they tell their boys the same thing. You marry your best friend. You don't marry a girl that you just really don't know. You marry someone that's your best friend, because that will turn into the intimacy and the love and the dedication that you need. Don't take your marriage and wife for granted. Win her heart daily. I'm a man, I know how it gets. We get lazy, oh, she'll be okay. She ain't gonna be okay, dog. That's why 50 to 60% divorce rate. There's a reason. Never take your wife for granted. If single, court, don't date. Dating is for sex, courting is for marriage. Any man that knows anything about that will tell you the same thing. Men date for sex, Boys date for sex, men date for marriage. Courting is for marriage. If single, remember, single is not a vocation. Marriage and religious life, be careful what you hear out here. Being single is not a vocation. Marriage or religious life is your vocation. Choose one. Okay, that's very important. You can't get to heaven by yourself. Think of it like that. Every day, any man that's married in here, he'll tell you his wife takes the edges off of him, makes him a man. Okay? You need another to sacrifice for in order to shave off the rough edges. Number 2, resource page. There's a resource page in the back of your booklet. Please take it home. Pick 3 things when you get home tonight and do them this week. Number 3, confession immediately. As the head, you must be in grace. Otherwise, your sacrifice means nothing. Gentlemen, you have to be in grace. You can do all the praying you want. You can do all the works for God you want. But if you're not in grace, you can't protect your family. You are the head. You are the head. God gives you special graces to accomplish that mission. Okay? 4, pray the rosary for your marriage daily. As a man, as a husband, as a father, this is your number 1 battle weapon. Use it. The rosary is your number 1 battle weapon to protect your family. If you're single, you pick up that rosary and you pray it every day for somebody. For the church, for priests, for bishops, for your mama, your daddy, your sister. Why? So that when you do get married, you already in the habit of sacrificing yourself for somebody, which will be your wife in your marriage, number 1. Number 5, embrace your mission as the leader and spiritual head of your family. As a man, if you're not leading, you're following. And for your family, that means chaos. God placed you as the head for a reason, like Father said, not to dominate, as a helpmate, equal. But in the end, we all know when the police come knock on the door, when you in that final judgment, in the particular judgment, God doesn't say, or the police don't say, go get your wife. They don't say, go get your kids. The police says, where's the man at? Who's man in here? What is God gonna say? What did you do? What did you do? And you can't look around, where's my wife? You by yourself, dog. You by yourself. And you're gonna be accountable. That's love. Can you embrace all dogma, doctrine, discipline of the church? Can you embrace holiness, sainthood, and perfection? Can you die to yourself and lead your wife and children back to God? Can you defeat selfishness and marry your girlfriend, or actively find a virtuous woman to marry? As a single person, as a teenager, can you defeat selfishness and marry your girlfriend? If you say you love her, marry her. If you don't, leave her alone and let her go. Love is not a feeling, but a force of your will. It's important, gentlemen, especially if you're married, we have to understand that love is not a feeling. Love is an act of your will. You decide that I'm gonna love this woman. No matter what happens, I decided, you decided. When you love God, it's the same thing. I decided I'm gonna love him. Remember, service, not selfishness. As the leader and the head, it's not about telling everybody what to do. Our job is to serve first. Wash your feet. Win her heart every day. Talk to your boys, sit them down, spend time with them. That's service. Your wife, and this is a big one, your wife and children are gonna do what you do. They will do what you do. If you go out and mess around your wife, your sons are gonna do it. If whatever you do, if you don't pray, they ain't gonna pray. If whatever you do, they gonna do. Your wife too, because your wife's gonna be like, well, he ain't doing it, because she's gonna take your lead. That's what we don't get. Our family takes our lead. 6, Your mission is not pleasure, but pain, sacrifice, and suffering. As a man, Christ is our ultimate example of a man. Model him immediately. Your mission is to give your life away every day. For who? For God, for your marriage, your wife, your children, and your environment if you're single. Through what? Through prayer. As a leader, remember, service, not selfishness. Service, not selfishness. We as men can no longer put ourselves above anybody. We are the servers. We are the leaders. 7, begin fasting. Father Lampert, begin fasting. Remember, the Ephesians 5 verses above, presenting blemish-free before the Lord. Blemish-free. When you pray for your wife and your family, and you sacrifice yourself, and you give yourself away for them, and you unite that with Christ, you as the head are given special graces to purify her, to purify your family, but mainly your wife. Think about that. You are praying and sacrificing for a reason. It's not just to go out and play. Really, that's our mission. 7, begin fasting. I talked about that. Oh, no, I didn't. Fasting. Try to fast at least once a month to start, 1 day a month, because what does that do? That's the same as prayer. It empties you, and when you're fasting, that purifies, that helps, and you offer that up to Christ for your marriage and your wife. It's the graces that you give her. Without your beloved, you can't reach heaven. She needs you to sacrifice your life for hers. Begin slowly with at least 1 day a month. Number 8, start a ministry or join one immediately. As a man, your main goal is to evangelize your family first. You are also called to evangelize your environment. Enter the spiritual battle daily. As a man, a husband, a father, number 9, you must make Satan pass through you to get to your marriage, wife, children, and home. I'm going to say that one more time. As a man, a husband, a father, you must make Satan pass through you to get to your marriage, your wife, your children, and your home. If our marriages and our homes are in chaos, it's because of us. Straight out. We have to take responsibility. We have to take responsibility. Satan will come through you. It's just like if a thief breaks in your home and you and your wife are asleep, right? Who's he gonna subdue first? You. Why? Because you're the biggest threat. Satan thinks of it the same way. The same way. You cannot allow him to get to your wife and your children and your family without you putting up a fight. Prayer and rosary, number 1 battle weapon. You can't defeat the attacks of the diabolical upon your home without you sacrificing yourself and suffering for it. If you want a great home, if you want a great wife, if you want great children, you got to sacrifice for it. Why? Because that's what Christ did. It doesn't work any other way, gentlemen. It doesn't work any other way. This life is a test for you. It's a test for you to give it away. Because if you take all the water in all the oceans, pull all the water out, and this is Bishop Sheen talking, and you put it, and you fill it with sand, how long would that take you? Now take all that sand out and fill it up again, and you still don't have eternity. You got 100 years here. Give your life away. Give it away. Number 10, adoration in front of the Blessed Sacrament. All questions below, take them to God in adoration ASAP. Consider your mortality daily. If you don't consider your death, you won't know how to live. Become part of the church militant by learning how to defend the faith. Christ needs Christian soldiers. If married, consider these questions. If married, consider these questions. How do I sacrifice for her? Am I lofting anything above our relationship? Am I seeing to her needs? Am I putting her needs above everyone else's, including my own? Why am I her servant? How and why do I serve her? Now, why do I keep talking about me and serving my wife? Because, dog, that's the heart. That's the heart, baby. If your wife ain't right, ain't nobody right, and you all know that. If your wife ain't right, ain't nobody right. She's the one that gets to the heart of those kids. You got to go to work. Even if both of you working, your wife is the one. She's the one that's going to have all the conversations with them. She's the one that's going to get in their head. She's the one that's going to nurture them, make them feel good. She's going to be the one to get them boys and them girls, especially them boys, to understand how to be men if she directs them to look at you. Your wife leads those boys and those girls back to you. You lead everybody to God. Real simple, hard but simple. If you're single, if you're currently single, ask yourself these questions in adoration. What am I doing to embrace masculinity? Marriage, duty, responsibility, children, holiness, sainthood. Speak with God on this. Also, if I'm single and have a girlfriend, when is the last time I talked seriously with her concerning marriage and family? Speak on this. When is the last time, if you are single and you have a girlfriend, when is the last time you really sat down and talked to her about your plans and your future and what you're trying to do? You ain't got time for playing, baby. This is serious. You got kids to have and families to raise. So in conclusion, thank you for sacrificing your time to be here. I'm going to laugh a little bit because I was serious for about 10 minutes. I'm sorry. But I love y'all, and I'm so happy you came. And it's about our souls, and I want y'all to go home and take something with you because those speakers were the bomb, wasn't they? Again, God placed you in charge of this realm, and he did it through his demands of Adam, who, by the way, failed. You are the man. You were meant for this battle. You must embrace this mission, not only for yourself, but for our church, your children, your marriage, your wife, and your surrounding environment. So I'm going to end with a quote from Pope Benedict XVI. Quote, "Life offers you comfort, but you weren't made for comfort. You were made for greatness." End quote. Now go forth, Christian soldiers. The spiritual fight is up on you. Fast, pray, and prepare for battle. Thank you all.